Hello and welcome to another beautiful day in the Austrian Alps. Today is the third episode of teaching my little brother how to drive, and today we're allowed to go on the roads legally, so we're taking you with us going on a mountain road drive. We're also going to check out how to get petrol, or specifically diesel, from a petrol station, so stay tuned for that. Okay, let's get ready. So as always, get your seating position right, the mirrors right, and then we'll get going.
Okay.
The mirrors. First gear.
Let go with the handbrake. Zullen we eens rechtsaf? Bij Cats is. Ja hoor.
So today we're in a different car from usual. We're not in the Mini today, but in a Golf. It's a diesel car. So the difference between the diesel and the petrol car, what you feel driving, is that the diesel can drive on much lower RPMs. So it will not die as quickly as a petrol would. So in a way it's easier. Arranco-punto. Alles goed. Nog een keer. Beetje meer gas. Klein beetje meer gas. Ja.
Past. It feels like I'm driving so fast, but really I'm not.
Well, you're going 90 kilometers an hour. It's quite fast.
Yeah, but it's not like super fast. So the reason why I'm now allowed to drive legally on the road, even though I do not have a license, is because in Austria there's this thing called L17. Basically, you can start taking the theoretic lessons when you turn 15 and a half, and after you're done with that you can start driving. You can take your driving lessons, and then there are two people you can take with you who already have a driver's license and they've had it for I think 5 years. Then you can legally drive on the roads with them. Through this you can already drive a car even though you're not even 17 yet in Austria.
I did the same thing, and I really liked it because you get a lot of experience through driving 3,000 kilometers accompanied by somebody that already has a driver's license. It makes it a much safer driving experience, I think, if you compare that to your normal driver's license, in which you just take a couple of driving lessons with a professional and then take your driver's exam, barely make it maybe, or maybe you don't even really feel comfortable driving, confident, and yes, I think it's more safe this way, definitely. Yeah. One of the things that you should learn also in the driving school, but Lars didn't and I didn't either, is how to get petrol at a petrol station, or diesel for that matter, because this is a diesel car. And that's why we decided that today we would go to the Shell petrol station in Solden, because it's a nice road going there, and we've had some snowfall recently, so it's going to be very pretty to look at, and of course we have to learn how to behave at a petrol station, and so this is the perfect opportunity. pedal is a bit sensitive on this car.
Not really. It's much more on our dad's car, the e-tron. It's much more sensitive. It's like you barely have to touch it.
Another rule for this driver's license is that you must drive at least half of the 3,000 kilometers in a manual transmission car. So lately he's been driving a lot with our dad in the e-tron, which is an automatic. So we have to start driving in a manual more frequently.
Yep. Which is one of the reasons why we're actually doing this video. Friday, so a couple of days ago, I was driving with my dad, and there was a huge amount of cars on the left side. It was not really a traffic jam, but it was like a tractor and then a truck and a couple of cars behind that. And I could not see past them, which of course made me a bit wary of what's going to happen now. And I've always played with this thought of, oh, what if a car is overtaking now and he comes in the front? And exactly that happened at that moment, and it was quite scary for me because it was the first time that happened. It was...
So you were overtaking?
No.
And then that... No?
Somebody else was overtaking, and then I was just on my side of the road. But of course he was on my side if he's overtaking. And then he was coming from the front.
Oh, I see, yeah.
So that was quite scary. And it was, for the first time that happening to me, it felt quite close, especially because I also braked for that. But well, that's things you don't really experience if you are just taking the normal course. And also then you are not reacting. It's usually then the instructor who reacts because he's scared as well.
But in this case, Dad couldn't do anything because he didn't have extra pedals.
Exactly.
It's so pretty when there's some fresh snow. Of turns, I find it important to finish your shifting process before you enter the turn. So before you have to slow down, for instance, you should already have downshifted. Because if you push your clutch during or inside a turn, if you let go of the clutch again, you might the car might jump a bit. It has never really happened to me, but it's just the proper way of driving is by finishing your shifting progress before you enter a turn.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, both shifting and braking should be done before you enter a turn. Just one of the things to think about, especially on these roads, on the mountain roads, it's very important to drive properly and be in full control of your car. When we get to the petrol station, it's nice to know which side your petrol tank is on. And you can see that by looking at the little sign, the little symbol in the dash. Because on the side on which the nozzle is, that's the same side as the pump is.
Okay, so in this case on the right side.
Yeah. So here's the petrol station. We will take the first turn. That's a bit early.
Yeah.
smoothly. Go to the, yeah, go whichever. Clutch. Yep, no problem. Handbrake. And turn off the car. Nice. Oops. You let go of the clutch a bit too early, but that's okay. Now let's go get some diesel.
Okay. Well, that's of course another important thing to know about the car, if it's diesel or petrol.
Yes, don't make the mistake of putting in the wrong one. We've arrived at the petrol station and we have a couple of options. First of all, you have to open your petrol tank, yes. So you just push it open, this one is a push to open. And usually you can see what this car takes. This is clearly diesel. Now, let's take a look at the many options. So we have the option V-Power petrol, Super 95, which is just normal petrol, and V-Power diesel, as well as normal diesel. We're taking V-Power diesel in this case, so this is the third one. And you can see a very big difference between the petrol and the diesel if you look at the nozzle. So if you look at this nozzle, maybe take it out for a moment, you can see it's very thin, as opposed to the diesel one. If you put it back, it's super thick. Yeah, go ahead. So you see the difference? So you shouldn't really, there is a clear difference. For us, this is Austria. This is what it looks like in Austria. It's different depending on which country you're from. Okay, now put it back for a moment because you have to open the cap first. Okay, so you can open the cap, and usually you can put it on this side. That's right, put it in there so it's out of the way. And then you can see on the inside a petrol nozzle would fit on a diesel car, but not the other way around. So you wouldn't be able to put diesel in a petrol car. Now go ahead and take the diesel, the power diesel, and pop that in. And now you will find that as you push it, as you pull the lever, there is one, go ahead and pull. There is a tiny switch here, that silver thing that you can push to the back, that you can pull to the back. And if you let go, then it will continue to pump petrol even if you're not holding it. So you can fully let go of it and it will now pump diesel by itself. And up here you can see how much it costs at the top in euros and how much liter you're filling up with, as well as the price per liter. Very good. And when you can hear the pump stopping, then you know you finished it. Because otherwise, sometimes at the inside, you say that you're finished, but you didn't properly put the nozzle back in, so then it's not yet. Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay, now you can go ahead and close the cap again. Carefully.
Fast.
Dankeschön. Time to go.
Rechts komt niks. Bast.
It takes practice.
So the higher gears, easier to shift smoothly, but
Yeah. That really tastes like peach.
really,
I've never had this because it's so expensive. Another difficulty that is, especially in summer, I feel, is something that might be a bit more dangerous, is these tunnels. In summer, if you're high up in the mountains, sometimes they drip water and then that water on the floor could freeze. That's how a lot of motorcycle accidents happen here. So that's just one of the things to look out for as well. That inside tunnels is always obviously much darker, so you have to quickly adjust. But also there might be water on the floor. It might be wet, slippery.
like here.
Whoa, that's a bit too quick for this turn.
I was just letting the car roll. I didn't think it was pick up speed that fast. Bus! I don't know why, but always if there's a bus or a truck coming from the front, I'm always scared. What's actually the difference between a diesel and petrol car?
The major difference between petrol and diesel is that petrol has a much lower ignition temperature. So to burn petrol, you need to ignite it. So that's why petrol cars have spark plugs, but diesel cars don't. The fuel ignites just by compression. And for that reason, diesel is much more almost oily. It's not as liquid as petrol is. And so the engines are vastly different from each other. But diesel is much more economic than petrol is because it's less or more dense, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
So petrol is also more fluid, more liquid.
That's why you have the fuel injectors that have very small little nozzles.
So putting petrol in a diesel car is worse or better than the other way around?
So what happens if you put diesel into a petrol car is that because of the diesel being more or less liquid, kind of oily, it clogs up the petrol filter, the fuel injectors, and everything really, and it ruins the entire engine. But it's actually worse if you put petrol in a diesel car, because it has a lower ignition temperature. It starts to burn much sooner than diesel would. It ignites before it even reaches the engine, so that can have catastrophic consequences for the engine.
For example?
So if this does happen, and this happens quite frequently, that you put the wrong fuel into your car, if it's I would say less than 5 liters, and you have much space left to fill up with, and you can dilute it and you will probably be fine. But 10 liters is already too much. At that point, don't start the engine under any circumstance and get it removed as quickly as possible. Some fuel tanks have a bolt through which you can just empty the entire tank, but some don't, and then you just have to have the entire tank taken out and rinsed with fresh fuel.
Okay.
So that's an expensive endeavor. If you have that done, it costs $500 maybe, euros. It can set you back quite a bit.
Can we make a video on doing that ourselves?
No, we're not doing that. Whoa!
Hatemur.
That looks like somebody that's looking at his phone. Better keep a safe distance.
Yeah.
So this would have been an instance in which I would have said shift before you turn into the turn.
But I wasn't sure if I would make it in this kind of gear, and then I was like, yeah, okay, no, never mind.
This feeling of uncertainty will fade quite quickly.
Geht sich aus? Weiß ich nicht, habe ich jetzt schon
Not
eingesaut.
anymore, but you can already turn definitely. Because now you're already too far.
Really?
Yeah. You have to go forward a bit, otherwise you're too close to the Mini. Well, you can, okay, go ahead, you can do it like this.
Hello.
More power, more power, more power. Yep, turn. We've arrived home. We've had success.
No car accident.
No car accidents, and we have learned how to pump petrol. Easy. This is the end of today's video. We hope that you've enjoyed, and we will see you in the next one.